Hello everyone, my name is Mad Scorpion and welcome back to Destiny 2. Now, when you log in, there's actually going to be quite a few things happening all at once. Of course, Guardian Games has started. If you watched my Twid, you would know that was happening. Or if you just kept up with anything Bungie news related, yeah, this week is basically the start of Guardian Games. And for the next 3 weeks, that will be what's going on in the tower. And personally, I just don't keep track of it just because, per the usual, it's Hunter's turn to win. So if you see Hunters win this year, and by some grand aspect, Guardian Games continues to next year, Warlocks win again. At that point, it's literally just whose turn is it to win. Aside from my own issues with this event, moving on, of course, there is some new stuff. There is, of course, the brand new Skimmer Exotic Sparrow, which is a whole new archetype of Sparrow that I've been seeing some crazy visuals of, which might be another way that Destiny has finally had a life in the game again. But moving on to that, of course, I will be covering, like this video, I'll be covering the reset. Next video, we'll be covering Guardian Games, and then I'll also hopefully have a video coming out basically encompassing everything update related that came out with this set, just because there is actually quite a few things that changed with this day, which is kind of like season, or the second half of the season in a way. But getting into it, of course, when you log in, there's going to be bonus Valor currently active in the Crucible, which is kind of expected. I wouldn't be surprised if it's active permanently, just because the entire time during Guardian Games, Supremacy is available, and that's pretty much a limited time game mode as well, just heads up. So yeah, there's increased Guardian rank for Crucible. But then getting into everything else, that's pretty much it in terms of boosters. For the Nightfall, just kicking things off, we have the Hypernet Current Nightfall Strike, which isn't terribly a difficult one. There is a few moments, Tormentor boss fight, it's mostly taken, so there is some kind of annoying champions, but the final boss isn't exactly a pain if you can manage just add clear as well as some decent cover. Then in terms of the modifiers for it, we have shielded foes of all 3 elements, that should just be assumed at this point. I keep almost saying barrier, unstoppable and overload champions, as well as attuned arc threat, which means that is going to be a little bit more painful. Usual Grandmaster modifiers of extinguish, limited revives, epitaph for basically anything taken when it falls dead becomes a booper. Then chaff for no radar, and the usual seasonal overcharge weapons. As addition, it is icy hot with stasis and solar surge, and overcharge grenade launchers are currently active as well. And on the front as well, let's see, make a quick trip over to Zavala. Now, there is a rotation refresh, so I would be surprised if possibly it was something new or just something not expected. But currently active is the Wildstyle Adept, which is one of the new ones, in addition to the Slammer, which is another sword that was just introduced, which is another stasis. Oh my god, it's that old model. I can't believe they finally reused it. But moving on, yes, it is Wildstyle, which is the second of a kind because it is a twin fire grenade launcher. It is pretty nifty. Not gonna lie, I like this one from, what's it called? The raid everyone hit, Spire the Watcher, which it's a nifty one, came with blinding rounds, disruption break. It's a real utility weapon just because it spreads super far. I can't say though how it hits hard in comparison to usual. Plus it's, a lot slower reload, but I didn't look at the perks, although like I said, second of its kind, as well as access to a Adept, which usually makes it the one to get, and it has access to all the origin traits in addition to what the other one already has. So it actually has some pretty decent options going for it. Worth farming? I don't know, but just to keep a quick count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I thought something was going to phase out, but I guess not currently. So yeah, more on that in the update video though. So, yet, it is a new twin fire grenade launcher lightweight frame, in addition to the undercurrent arc wave frame that's in the store. Moving on with Gambit, there's nothing exactly new there. I know there is a Gambit mode for Guardian Games, though, so allegedly there's that. And like I mentioned, Supremacy is going to be currently active for Crucible for a long time, as well as Rumble for that. Collision, which I think is this the abilities disabled one? I forget. But you see, shifting zone. I think that's weird control or whatever. And then as well, Clash, and we'll expect trials this weekend because obviously no Iron Banner. Then getting into the rest of things as well, just dirt throughout the world. For our Legends tab, we currently have on Crota's End Raid while we're here. The Conservation of Energy, which is first encounter challenge, a bit of an annoying one. And the Prophecy Dungeon. This one is currently farmable, which is actually something enticing. And just to check, out of curiosity, let's see, I'm still short on some of the new ones from this season, but yeah, so far, no. So nothing new craftable from the new dungeon rotation, which is expected. Dungeon guns are generally not craftable, but there's a whole new rotation. Don't expect a full dungeon rework. Don't expect a seal or a new flawless gear. I think they just added more loot, so prophecy is a little bit more relevant in this day. Then as well, Vox Obscura is currently active, which this is literally for the red borders for Season 19. Dead Messenger is kind of wasted for an exotic right now, unless you're one of those Crucible people that really like it. So yeah, you could save your time for another week of, exotic mission farming. Then in terms of our raids and the like, I'm going to be doing it a little bit weird. I'm going to go all the way back down from current to least, or at least least current, or farthest back, I shall say. But while we're on Neomuna, the current weekly mission is No Time Left, for which is, I still forget which is officially the last one. They're so equally named, it's hard to tell the difference sometimes. But yeah, that one. The Ahimsa Park is the current Vex Incursion Zone in terms of Neomuna, as well as the Annoying Partition, in case you're curious. And then from that point on Root of Nightmares, we currently have the Crossfire Challenge, which is second encounter challenge. A bit of an annoying one because there's lots of safeguards to keep it from working in ways that you can cheese. Then for Vow of the Disciple, it is currently the Defenses Down challenge, which is, if I recall, third encounter challenge. It's starting to get a little loose at this point. I haven't done that raid in ages. For the Deepstone Crypt, we currently have the Red Rover challenge, which is first encounter. A bit of an annoying one because you have to literally do the encounter 3 waves, no art, no discussion. Checking into our legacy raids currently active for King's Fall, it is Devious Thievery, which is, I think, not Sisters Challenge. I think it might be Oryx? No, that's wrong. It's one of the challenges of all time. You know, one of them. And for Vault of Glass, we have Out of Its Way, which is Templar Challenge, which is pretty easy one. Basically, just keep it from teleporting and you can finish challenge mode. Then into Garden of Salvation, currently for this one, it is the To the Top challenge, which means by default in the Dreaming City, Last Wish is currently the farming raid, which means that all challenges are, of course, active. This one, however, doesn't have a master mode, so that is not an opportunity you can go for, but there is, like I said, all challenges active. Kali can drop any weapon. Red borders are still there. If somehow you grinded out with Riven's Wishes, didn't get all the red borders you needed, and still for the season are still missing a few, I'd recommend go ahead and just farming that out. It can be done with a minimal amounts of people. But from that point, let's see, just checking with the Helm in seasonal stuff, the Coils currently active rotation is the Divining Hall, First Steps in the Temple of the Queen's Wrath, the Sensorium in the Reaver's Orison, and the First Steps in the Cell of the Sycophant. Again, I know I've been saying this lots of times throughout the last weeks, but man, these seem to have no different things. Like, it will be the same thing almost every time. And on that topic of seasonal stuff, I believe my truth is true. Yes, there is still no new seasonal challenges. I was hopeful that maybe we would get more, but it appears though we are not getting any more seasonal challenges. And I'm just making sure that I'm not forgetting anything else. I have lots of things to do because I have not been playing so much this season. Let's see, darting about. One thing to wrap it up for Dares of Eternity Legend mode. It is currently taking Cabal and Zydron for the active rotation for Dares of Eternity Legend mode. Now, just getting into it, because I know cosmetics is one of those things. Like I said, I will cover it more in depth, or at least total, in terms of the different mode, but I'm going to cover what's available for Bright Dust right off the bat. First off is Photo Finish, which this is the RGB shader from last year. If you missed out on it, basically, this one, any glow is literally red, green, blue rotation. It is color shifting. So if you have a glow that you want to be super flamboyant and be a little bit different, there you go. It is multi-glow. And then we also have Verdant Crown, which is from the old Revelry event, which is basically what Guardian Games replaced. Not gonna lie, this does look pretty solid, just because it's actually solid as opposed to shiny, so it doesn't look half bad. And we also have the Contenders Entrance, which is another one of the limited time only Guardian Games things, which, while I am on the topic of limited time, literally anything in this tab right here that you see marked event, anything you see in the store that is marked with the same insignia like you see right here, anything along that list will disappear after this event goes away, which is in the next 3 weeks. So whether it's something bright dust that you want to claim while it's available that week, or something silver that you want to claim right from the events tab, claim it while you can, because otherwise you probably will not get it back. Literally until next year. And even still, there's a chance that it won't even be for bright dust next year as well. So get it while you can. On the other note, let's see, I left off here. The sponsored shell, which was a theme of last year, basically sponsors and lots of neon. Lots of just random words and symbols from all over the world of Destiny. And then we also have the Just Juggling emote, which is, oh, well, that's a big foot, but I can actually show you that because this is one of my personal favorite emotes that I run on the common for basically bored and sitting around waiting or just otherwise keeping myself busy as my character. Then getting into the main Bright Dust store. For the flares and transmats, we have Rivalry Black Sand, which is a pretty solid look. Another, how do I say, the shinier Dead Orbit look, just because of a dark, either dark green or black and white. Then we also have Reef Made from Season of the Drifter, which does very much look like it came from the reef. Lots of pinks and purples. And we also have Grayscale Undergrowth, which definitely marks the topic of gray. Then, as well, up for grabs, which I'm not going to lie, you're going to see a lot of shaders that have this kind of color preview. Lots of the generic white, goldish, yellow, red, and blue to cover all the classes. They will be random assortments. Some will look nigh exactly the same, and some will look completely different, but it will be a random assortment of those 3 colors. Then as well, we have the Spring Breeze effects, which is another Blu-ray shader made purple. Same with Cherry Blossom, very much the same thing. And we have Reflection effects, which is OG Osiris Glitch Multiplication. Then for our main ticket items, we have the Represent emote, which basically, whatever class you are, it will spawn a flag representing that class's logo. We also have the Let's Hear Some Noise, which I imagine is just a hype man sort of thing, just for random stuff. I imagine that's used a lot in the Crucible. And we also have the Classy Shell, which I believe is a new one, representing all 3 classes all at once. Which, man, that actually looks pretty damn cool. I'm not going to lie. For a, let's just say, a camaraderie-based thing. I don't think many people will run anything else other than the individual class shells from the first year. I also have Parabellum 4, which is oddly named because Parabellum means prepare for war, and unless the 3 classes are going to war with each other, literally, that is kind of oddly named. And we also have the Shadow Box Sparrow, which I can't tell if it's new or not at this point. It looks like it's from the first year, but I don't recall ever seeing it in the first year. They kind of need to make like Guardian Games 1, 2, 3, or 4 for the marker. And then we also have pretty much the main ticket item, Triumphant, which is for Heir Apparent, which also, newsflash in case you don't know, Heir Apparent, I believe, is only available currently in these 3 weeks. So get it while you can, same with its Catalyst. It is kind of easy to drop. Literally participate in the event, you'll get Heir Apparent, and you'll probably get its Catalyst beforehand. And we also have the Trophy Projection, which, like always, is a basic, boring projection. For his available stock, we have a few things. Whispering Slab, something talked about a lot across the last few weeks. Outdated, kinetic, lightweight, bow. Now, it's not terrible. I know a lot of people still use it for Crucible setups here and there, but at the same time, like I said, quite outdated from Season 11. It's currently Season 23. Use it if you want a meme, but otherwise I wouldn't depend on it. Kind of the same thing for Cartesian Coordinate, at least with this set of perks. Old and outdated, and is running on some quite old perk setups. But at the same time, if you get access to something like, if I recall, autoloading and Vorpal, this is one of the best just casual damage fusion rifles in the game still. So, you know, if it comes by, pick it up. Then we also have Vulpecula, which is right on the edge of being outdated just because it's still no origin traits. It is quite old. It's one of the first things that actually came with Headstone and for stasis builds. And it does look pretty solid for a hand cannon, but like I said, still quite outdated at this point. But in the opposite, we have Disparity, which is only 4 seasons old. Still pretty solid stasis burst pulse, or obviously burst, 4-round burst pulse rifle, which is pretty solid. It basically can roll everything that Sacred Providence from Garden of Salvation can roll, or at least is good setups, and is a bit icy in the meantime. Then we also have Palmyra B, which, like I keep saying, doesn't exactly have the greatest roll, and while it might not be the most powerful rocket launcher, I believe is actually freshly buffed, it is pretty easy to craft if you need a go-to, or just a quick rocket launcher for damage phases, and almost everything else is either unavailable, or you just don't have better. And to wrap up the rotation stocks, we have gold leaf, which if I recall isn't, well, it's actually a lot gold, but not much leaf. Well, you can kind of see it on some reflections. So yeah, a nice shiny gold in case you want to be a bit fancy. And then as well, you have Tangled Rust, which is way back when from Season of the Outlaw, or Forsaken, for those that don't know. Which doesn't exactly, well, it does look rusty, but it's kind of hard to tell. It doesn't match this, but I think weapons look a little bit more like it. And then we also have Dead Orbit Camo, like Black Sand, a little bit of the black and white. I thought it was moving for a moment. I thought it was live. But that's just my eyes playing tricks on me. It is, turns out, just a regular black military camo look, in case you were looking for something like that. My name is Mad Scorpion, and thank you for watching. Anyone who made it this far into the video, keep an eye out for my other two videos of the, basically, the Guardian game setups, as well as the update video. I will try to keep that just generally on time, or at least on pace, to cover anything I didn't exactly want to talk about in this video, just to keep it a little bit shorter than usual. I will see you then.